Good morning and Jai Hind children. We are discussing the chapter separation of substances, and in previous class we have discussed the different methods of separation of substances which is insoluble in liquid, insoluble in water. Is it? So we have discussed the method of sedimentation, decantation, loading, filtration and all. Is it? And I hope that you understood those all topics. Now today I am going to discuss the next one, that next topic of separating soluble solids from liquid. Some of the materials, some of the kind of solids are soluble in water. So how we can separate them? Clear? So come to that topic, separating soluble solids from liquid. Soluble solid from liquid. You know very well that meaning of soluble. Any solid if dissolved in liquid, so it will known as soluble. There this property is known as soluble. Like sugar, when we add the sugar in water and when we mix it, so after some time what happened? That solid sugar dissolve now and not able to see. So you can say that sugar is soluble in water. Just like that, solid salt, when you will keep the salt in water, so after some time all the salts get dissolved. Is it? In water. So you can say that salt is also soluble in water. Okay, so here we will discuss the methods by which we can separate those kind of solids which are soluble in liquid. And the first very common simple method is evaporation. Evaporation. Children, what happens in evaporation? Simply in evaporation, when the mixture or when the liquid in which some solid is dissolved get heated. So while heating, that liquid gets vaporized due to the heat, and at last what is left in the container? That solid left in the container which dissolve in it. Clear? So we can separate the common salt which is dissolved in water by this method. Clear? So for it what you have to do? Simply you have to take a beaker, take some water in it, add a few spoon of salt, 2 spoon, 3 spoon of salt in it, and then mix it. So after just a minute, 2 minutes, all the solid salt will dissolve. Clear? And now you will have a solution of salt and water. So again, how you can get it back? If you want to get back your salt again in solid form, so which method will be used? Evaporation method will be used. And for this, first of all, you need to dissolve teaspoonful of salt in about 50 ml or 100 ml of water, and then heat the water. Your solution prepared, mixture prepared. Either you can heat this cold water, but it will take more time. Otherwise, it's very easy. Take few spoon of this mixture of salt and water in a small bowl. Take few spoon and heat it on the burner. In the lab we have the spirit lamp burner na. So on the burner we will place our bowl in which we have taken what? Few spoons of this mixture of water and salt. Now heat it. So while heating, you will observe the water will get vaporized in the form of vapors. Vapors will form while heating. continue heat it, continue for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So after some time you will observe all the water from the bowl gets evaporated, and what is left at the last? Only the solid salt left in the bowl which you have dissolved. Get it? So simply it's also given in your chapter. Okay, with the help of an activity you need to heat the bowl in which water is there, and now let the water evaporate completely. So you can see that a white residue means white material, white solid left in the bowl. Clear? And this white residue which left behind the dish is what? Actually it is the salt. So scratch it with the help of a spoon and collect that white solid. So that white solid is the salt which you have mixed in. Now to get back the water that evaporates, what you need to do? You got your salt here in the bowl, but how you will get back your water? Because in this picture you have two substances. One is liquid, that is your water, and one is solid, that is salt. So you can get back your salt by heating. Okay, so salt will left in the bowl, but how you will get back your water? Because the water is going to vaporize. So to get back the water, you can use a method, a very simple method, and that method is known as condensation method. Clear? And for this, what you will do? To get back your water that evaporates, hold a cool steel plate above the evaporating dish. Here it is going to evaporate. Now place a cool dish, a cool plate, and you can keep some ice cube here on the plate to make it cool. What you can place? Some ice you can place. Now when this water will evaporate, it will come on the surface of the plate, and the surface of the plate is so cool because of the ice. So that vapors, what will happen? Again converts into the liquid droplets. So you can see that a lot of droplets are present here. Water droplets. And actually these water droplets are what? These are the evaporated water. And now collect this droplet in another container. So what happened? Your both material get separated. Your solid salt left here in the bowl, and all the water after evaporation gets condensed by the process of condensation and collected in another container, another place. So there are two processes. This heating is evaporation and this cooling is condensation. Okay, so what is the name of this process? Condensation. And by these two processes, you can get back your both material, that is salt and water. Alright, understood everyone? How to get back the salt and how to get back the water? To get back salt, we will use evaporation method, and to get back water, we will use condensation method. Clear? And what is evaporation? I hope that you understood. Heating that mixture is evaporation. And what is condensation? Cooling that vapors of water is condensation. Okay? Understood? So, this plate with ice will condense to form liquid water, and you can see the drops of water on the plate, and the process of conversion of water vapors into liquid form is simply known as condensation. Alright children, both the process. Now, the seawater, you must have listen that, you must have read that the seawater is salty. Is it not? It is not like the water which is present in river. River water is not salty water, but sea water is salty. If you taste the sea water, so you will feel that it is so salty. But when you are going to taste the river water, you will not feel that it is salty. So in sea water, salt is dissolved. That is why it tastes salty. Alright. So the salt that we use in our food is mostly obtained by evaporating sea water. From where we obtain the salt which we use in our food? It comes from where? It comes from sea water. After the evaporation, that same method, the sea water get collected in large areas and kept open. So due to the sunlight, the water gets evaporated, and what is left behind? Salt left. So people collect that salt, and that salt gets sold in the market, that we use to put it in our food items, in vegetables and all. Clear? So seawater contains salts, and the salt that we use in our food is mostly obtained by evaporating seawater. And this seawater is collected in shallow ponds. The method to obtain, what happened? The seawater collected in shallow ponds near the sea. People make the not very deep ponds, shallow pond, small shallow ponds in which the sea water get collected. Clear? Understood? And when the sunlight falls on it, the water gets vaporized and salt get collected. So it's collected in the shallow ponds and allowed to evaporate in the sun, and at last salt is left behind. Alright? So what is the use of this evaporation method in our life? Getting the salt from seawater. This is one of the important use of the process of evaporation in our daily life, because we always per day we use the salt in our food. Is it not? And it comes from the seawater by which method? By the method of evaporation. Clear? Understood? Now come to the next method. The next method is distillation. The next method is distillation. And this distillation is a method of obtaining pure liquid from a solution, and the solution is heated so that the liquid evaporates, the vapors are then cooled and they condense to give the pure liquid. Understood? If we want to get the pure liquid, so which method is used? Distillation method is used. Remember that in condensation what we have explained? When the vapors will cool, it get collected in the form of water droplets. Is it not? So in the same way here, in distillation method, suppose if we want to obtain the pure water to drink, because the water in different places, water in river, water in lakes, water in ponds, they have some impurities. They have some impurities now. They have little mud, soil, they all are mixed there. Some harmful bacteria are there mixed there. So we cannot use it to drink because of the presence of impurities. And we want to get a pure liquid, pure water, which is suitable for drinking. So which method we will use? We will use the distillation method. And in distillation method, what simply occurs? The same process of evaporation and condensation, that impure water or impure liquid collected in the container, it heated, okay, after heating the water get vaporized. Impurities will not vaporized because impurities are present in the form of solid, so they will remain in the container. Only the pure water will vaporized, and when the pure water will vaporize, we cool them, we condense them to obtain the pure water. Get it? Understood? And now that water is suitable for drinking because it don't have any kind of impurity. It don't have any soil particle. It don't have any dissolved salt particles. It don't have any disease causing germs. They all are remain in the container. And what get vaporized? Only the pure water. And we can collect it and we can use to drink. Clear? Understood? So you can say that distillation method give us the pure liquid like pure water to drink. And you must have heard a word, distilled water. Distilled water you have heard now? The water which is sold in the market in bottles. The water which is sold in the market in the bottles. They are which kind of water? Distilled water. People say that distilled water. So why that water, such water is termed as distilled water? Because they are pure. No impurities are present. Okay, the water gone through the distillation process and then the water get collected in the bottles and sold in the market. That is why that water is termed as distilled water. Okay, so distilled water used in laboratories is obtained in this way. In labs, chemistry lab, the water which is we use generally to prepare the solution, to prepare the different kind of chemicals. Which water is used? Distilled water is used. Okay, understood? Now, the distilled water is used in laboratories and also a special apparatus which is used to get the distilled water is that water containing dissolved impurities is kept in a flask. That water kept in a flask. This is just like the flask. It is a beaker, but flask is also just like a container, who is somewhat different shape. The shape of the flask is like this. Okay, so this is known as flask. So in this flask, water gets kept. Water gets collected. Which kind of water? The water with impurities. The water with what? Impurities. Yes, it gets collected in flask and then this flask is going to close with a lid. The mouth of this flask is closed with a rubber lid. Alright, and after that this flask is going to heat. As this flask contains the impure water, mouth is going to close, and here at the near the mouth, this flask have a small opening, and through this opening, a narrow pipe is going to connect it. What is connected to this hole? A narrow pipe is get connected. Clear? And above this narrow pipe, one chamber is there which have cold water. What it have? This chamber have cold water. Alright. Understood everyone? And the end of this tube is get kept in a beaker. Now, when this water get heated here, so what will happen? As this water will heated here, then evaporation process will occur, vapors will form, but as the mouth is closed, so that vapor will not move out. Vapor will not move out in the air. All the vapors comes up and moves to this pipe. As the vapors move here, this cold water contains that vapors, and now that vapors forms the water droplets, and that water droplets gets collected here. Understood this diagram? And now the water which is going to collect here, this is distilled water. This is pure water, because all the impurities remain here in this flask. Only the vapors are going to move, it's going to cool and again condense. So this water is pure and distilled. Alright, children? Here we have used a kind of condenser. Condenser means a setup by which we can condense our water vapors, because the water vapors coming through it and it need to cool it. Without cooling, the vapors will not come in the liquid state. It will remain in the gaseous state. Okay. So condenser is a kind of setup which cools the water vapors. Get it? That is why this condenser used here in the distillation process is known as, there is a particular word used for it. It's known as Liebig's condenser. This condenser is known as Liebig's condenser. Understood the meaning of condenser? Condenser is a device, is a apparatus which condense or which cools the water vapors into liquid. Okay, and the name of this condenser is Liebig's condenser. Understood everyone? Alright, so the water vapor is going to cool and cold water is made to flow through the condenser. Now as the water in the flask is heated, it evaporates and the water vapors cools and condense in Liebig's condenser, and the drop of distilled water form are collected in another beaker, another flask. Yeah. So the same diagram is also given in your book about the distillation process. Diagram number 5.10 on page number 53. It's given the distillation. It is somewhat like the same as I have drawn here. So you need to draw this diagram also in your fair notebook, in which distillation process is going to show. Here we have the solution of water and impurities. This is the burner used for heating. This is Liebig's condenser. Okay, and here the distilled water. This is distilled water collected. Alright, so this is the which method? Distillation method. Everyone understood this method or not? Understood. Alright, very good. Now, come to the next. Separating liquids. As in these examples, in which we have used the method of evaporation, condensation and distillation, we have taken a solid in liquid, a soluble solid in liquid. Okay, but suppose both are liquid, one liquid is going to mix in another liquid, then how we can separate both the liquids? Understood? If two different liquids are going to mix together and we want to get both the liquids separately, so we can use the different method, and now I am going to discuss the same method of separating liquids. Separating liquids. Understood now? What we will discuss in this topic? If two different liquids mix together and we want to get back both the liquids separately. Okay, so the method which we will use, I am going to discuss here. Now children, you have seen that liquids may be miscible or immiscible. Miscible or immiscible. Understood the meaning of these words? Miscible means if the two liquids are going to mix together, okay, and we cannot see them separately while mixing them. So such liquids are known as miscible liquids. And if two liquids, after mixing them, again they are going to see separately in the bottle. So such liquids are known as immiscible liquid. Understood? For example, suppose this is a glass in which you have taken a liquid, say that water. Water is the liquid now. So you have taken this much of water and now you have added the same amount of your cough syrup. Everyone know the cough syrup now? That generally we use at the time of coughing. Everyone know? It's very common. The cough syrup that we are using, very common. Now use few spoons, 2 or 3 spoons of cough syrup here in this glass and mix with the spoon. What you will see here in the glass? Can you see separately water and cough syrup? Cough syrup is separated and water is separated. Can you see like this? Your cough syrup is at the bottom and water is above it. Or water is in the bottom and cough syrup is floating above it. No. They both get mixed completely. Is it now? Understood now? In place of cough syrup, you can put few drops of ink also. Liquid inks. So what will happen? It will get mixed. Both the liquids gets mixed together and not visible separately. Such kind of liquids are known as what? Miscible liquids. Understood? Miscible liquids. Those liquids which mix completely together and not seen separately, okay, are known as miscible liquids. Like the mixture of water and cough syrup, mixture of water and milk. In a glass of milk, when you are going to add some milk, what happens? They both completely get mixed now. You are not able to separate the water and milk again. Is it look separately? No. The overall mixture looks white like milk. It means both liquids are what? Miscible liquids. Understood? The meaning of the word miscible. Now, the second kind of liquids, immiscible liquids. The liquids, when mixing together, they seen separately. They cannot mix together. In a glass, I have taken some water and now add some oil, either cooking oil, mustard oil, coconut oil, any oil. Okay, just take 3-4 spoon of oil and put it here and try to mix it with the spoon. Leave it for some. You will see that a layer below water and above it, what happens? Oil will present. They never get mixed. Either you are going to mix it for long time with the spoon, but as you will keep it for some time, again they get separated. Am I right? Have you seen? So such kind of liquids are known as immiscible liquids. They both are liquids now. Oil is also a liquid and water is also a liquid. But these liquids are not going to mix together. Okay, so that is why they are known as immiscible liquids. So here in this method, we will discuss how we can separate such kind of liquids. Alright, so if you vigorously mix oil and water in a beaker and let this mixture undisturbed for some time, So what will happen? The two liquids, that beaker stand for some time and the oil and water will separate. Oil and water, this is oil and this one is water, get separate together, and oil will form a separate layer on the top of water. Oil will always be at the top, not at the bottom. Remember it. If oil and water are mixed, any oil, so oil will always at the top and water will always at the bottom. Clear? Understood? It may be mustard oil, it may be coconut oil, it may be kerosene oil, it may be petrol, it may be diesel, any kind of oil. Alright? Now, oil and water are immiscible, and by carefully tilting the beaker, it is possible to pour out the top layer of oil, and thus the decantation can be used to separate these two immiscible liquids. How we can separate again this one? So for separating we can use a very simple method of decantation. Remember that. We have discussed the decantation method now. We will keep the glass undisturbed for some time. Now hold it very carefully and tilt it. So while tilting, what will happen? Oil will get separated and water will remain in the same glass. Okay? We use one more method for it, that is separating funnel. Clear? So we will discuss again the separating funnel in detail in next class, and I hope that whatever the topics which we have explained today, you understood it. Is it? Thank you and have a nice day.